morning and welcome to this week's edition of Tourismus Namibia, where we bring you some news and obviously destinations, and at the end we also have a little interview. Welcome to the show. My name, as you can see, is Frank Steffen. I'm the editor of Tourismus Namibia, the magazine that comes out once a month. And as normal, like I said, we've got topics, destinations, and then to the point. Those are the three categories that we'll bring you. And before we go further into topics, let's just quickly peek at the marketplace. Welcome back, yes, and good news, first of all, Distel Namibia have partnered up again with Wildlife Credits and the Sobe Conservancy. As you can see there, Distel Namibia recently announced their renewed partnership for the third year with Wildlife Credits and the Sobe Conservancy. This program spearheads the recovery of many wildlife species, dangerous and endangered species on communal lands. And Wildlife Credits differs from the traditional method of supporting conservation, which relies on donations for inputs such as boots, vehicles, training, etc., in the belief that ultimately there should be a positive conservation outcome. And the interesting part about this is that Wildlife Credits payments are made based upon measurable success, as they write. So the funding is not automatic, and it is not done based on proposals and projects, but rather on what they call conservation results. So as soon as the project has actually turned into a success, then people will qualify for a payment. I think that's actually quite a good one to do it that way. That way you know that accountability is basically guaranteed, and there's not forever that argument about whether the money was used for the proper purpose it was designed to be used for. Up next, also good news this week, line breeding. Line breeding in South Africa will be forbidden in future. This is according to what Environment Minister Barbara Creecy said. The trade as such, as well as with the bones of lions, should be ended, and the country won't lobby for the uplifting of global restrictions on the rhino horn and elephant ivory trade. Now, this is a bit of a difference as opposed to Namibia, that has previously tried to get the ivory trade based on a system where they report what they have, give a decent stock take, and then always make that available. Botswana was one of the other countries that was hoping to get that limited ivory trade going again. But there are many studies that have proven time and again that once you create that demand again, then the limited source won't be enough. So automatically you start having people poaching again and trading illegally with ivory. So, but anyway, line breeding, you will remember canned, they called it canned hunting, people breeding with lions, putting them in super small camps and then trying to be these little supermen who are proud to have hunted a lion, whereas the lion can't really, it can't escape. And in fact, there were even bad reports about some of these lions being given some form of tablets so that they won't be as lively as they should be. So in effect, it's like just killing an animal that's sitting right in front of you. Right, bad news this week. I was so angry, it's unbelievable. Yeah, some of you will remember that about 2-3 weeks ago, I spoke of Irongo Plateau Camp. That was part of one of the camps that we had up in Irongo. You will remember that I still said how nice it is. It's very quiet, very decent. A whole lot of work done, as you can see there. My wife relaxing, looking all over the show. The the valley is far down below from that, and it must have been a huge amount of work to actually get these camping sites into the state that they are. You can see here the trees and everything so nice. And then, unbelievably, we had these French tourists here making a habit of destroying everything that they see, apparently. Now, later they reacted on Facebook and said they tried to climb onto the tree to make some photos. I mean, I don't know how stupid they think we are, but this is clearly vandalism, and it's really sad to see. The owners, Oliver and Connie Kaiser, were obviously not impressed, and I seriously hope, after we previously had a case like this 24 months ago, where also French tourists vandalized all types of old buildings in our country, and you know, with graffiti and that sort of thing. I just hope this time the French embassy will take these people to task, because it's unacceptable. You know, it takes a lot of work to create these places for tourism. It is hard as it is with COVID, limiting the number of tourists and thus the amount of income, and then to simply destroy what other people could still have enjoyed. I am totally disgusted with these people. Right, and then just finally, as a note, there will be a launch to the private sector roadblock. This is on Monday. It will be what they call a private sector roadblock COVID testing initiative, and it's being started by the Tour and Safari Association of Namibia, TASA. You will remember we've had them in the studio before, and it is done in collaboration with Diagnolab and HT Trading Solutions. So it is being supported by HAN, the Hospitality Association of Namibia, and this will be quite a big thing Monday morning at 11 o'clock. We of Tourismus Namibia are likely to be there, and will very likely stream that whole session live. Very important for our tourists to be able to get faster and quicker solutions, so that we can up our game as we approach winter, and then thereafter, very early as the winter comes to an end again, that's the time when we suddenly see an influx of tourism again. So let's make this happen for tourism as a sector. Those are our news for today. Up next, we've got destinations, but before we go there, let's just quickly have a look at the marketplace. Start throwing the others. Yeah, welcome back, and you saw me almost falling asleep there. If you look up the following website, it's called www.namibiaaccommodation.com. And then it's got a /routes and Matamata to Mariental, or simply put in Matamata to Mariental and Google that. You will visit a page that is called Discover Namibia, and they promote Kalahari area of Namibia. And so if you have a quick look at the map that we'll be putting up there now, you will see coming through the Kalahari Transfrontier Park, which is on the right-hand side there, that covers the old Kalahari Gemspark Park of South Africa and parts of Botswana. If you look on the further right, you can enter Namibia via the Matamata Gate, which is really the first little balloon that you see there on the border point. I think the important part is you need to remember three things. That number one, you will have been required to stay overnight in the park, otherwise you're not eligible to actually pass through that gate. And you would be very well advised to make use of a 4x4, because in that area, if you want to visit the nice places in Kalahari, then really you should have a proper vehicle. And then very important at this time is to always make sure, on account of the Corona crisis that the border point is actually open, because it obviously depends as and when these border points open. Up to now, they were still closed. So this page refers you to various lodges and sites as you drive up from Mata Mata up to along the C15 really, past the Kalahari Game Lodge and Terra Rouge Guest Farm. You reach Twee Rivier, not to be confused with Twee Rivieren, which is on the South African side. But anyway, you go past the turnoff to Kois. Kois would lead you along the C17 over to Keetmanshoop, and you will follow basically the Aab River Valley. And that goes up to Gochas and then on to Stampriet, and from there on you turn on over to Marienthal. But anyway, about 35 kilometers before Gochas, you will reach the turnoff to the Red Dune camp. And at Gochas, you will find the Aab Lodge, very often seen. At Stampriet, you have the choice to overnight at the Kalahari farmhouse, or just beyond, you have the Aneb Lodge, both of which we described I think 2 shows ago when we spoke of these 2 Gondwana collection sites. So anyway, returning to our web page now that I spoke of earlier, close to Mata Mata, you will find the Kalahari farm stall, and this is where we've got a couple of photos for you now. It is called the Kalahari Farm Stall and Accommodation. It's situated on the C15 road, about 14 kilometers from the Botswana border at Mata Mata, so it's very close, and ideally located for day trips to the Klagadi Transfrontier Park, back in time for a sundowner that will capture your heart as they're right there. It offers affordable accommodation in an ensuite and air-conditioned rooms. And there's obviously a pool and internet facilities and all those sort of things. There's also a farmhouse coffee shop with fresh coffee and refreshments and so on. So you can also have farm produce there, and patkos as they call it. And then close to it, up next you find the Torgos Safari Lodge, also quite close to Mata Mata. They offer game drives and a water hole close to the facilities, and they've got top-notch accommodation as well as tented chalets. So that's very nice in itself. As you can see on the photos, this is different. This is typically Kalahari. They build thick walls so that you really have isolation against the real heat of that part of Namibia. As I said, they offer game drives and lots to see there. Typically a small, nice place close to the border if you haven't been able to get accommodation bookings done for Klagadi Park. And then not far from there, you've actually got the Kalahari Game Lodge, which we previously discussed on this program. And it is really a special place. They write it up as that as well. It conforms aesthetically well to the surrounding landscape, and you know, it is just a special place with its decor and trimmings sort of relating to the Kalahari oasis colors and so on. This is as you look down to the river. You wouldn't see it on this picture very clearly, but in the far right you would see one of the camping sites and so on. So clearly this is for people who love being outdoors, but then obviously you also have these upmarket accommodations. You know, there are 8 beautiful chalets, or you can camp. So clearly you can also go up to the main lodge and enjoy the facilities there. But each chalet has a patio overlooking the Aab riverbed, where you can then enjoy your morning coffee. And as there are game drives available there. I've been to that lodge. It's a magic experience. They do a lot of studies on lines. I think they're still the only lodge that has been allowed to accept Kalahari lines back into the Namibian side. The Kalahari line has a different gene pool to that one of the Savannah line that we've got up in Etosha and so on. So they clearly study these animals, and really it's quite something different. I mean, you can see on the background photo today that red sand typically I've seen where eland have sort of run up those sort of dunes, and very nice place. Then close to Gochas, you will find quite a number of German war graves. This is obviously of the German Schutztruppe under an old camel thorn tree there on the banks of the Aub River. It is a German war memorial reflecting the skirmishes of Haruchas between the Germans and the Witboi Nama in 1905. Quite a number of Germans died there. This then is Gross Nabas. Gross Nabas is 20 kilometers south of Stampriet, and the site is one of the bloodiest battles of the war. So that little monument, not this one, the other small one, is on the main road and commemorates the battle also in January 1905, during which the Witboi inflicted heavy losses on the German forces. This is the Gross Nabas one. Anyway, so those are the memorials, and as you drive, you will always see there are various turnoffs to different lodges and 4x4 routes and whatever, camps and so on, like I said earlier. Now at Stampriet, you can obviously choose also, instead of, you don't need to go to the Kalahari farmhouse, you can also go to the Indigo self-catering units. Smaller, simpler. We obviously try to bring you different ideas. This is right in Stampriet, and so it allows you to be close to all the amenities, as well as it's close to the private school and all the supermarkets. Just remember, if you drive too fast, you will be past Stampriet in the nick of time. I mean, it's Stampriet is not exactly a big town. It really is a small settlement, and but it's nice to visit those places as well. And it might be that sometimes you just want to stay overnight before you carry on into Namibia to wherever your journey leads to. And but there's something different as well. Instead of going to Stampriet, you could also turn off at Gochas already. Then you would basically take the C18, which leads back to the main road between Keetmans and up to Marienthal, which is a tar road. But instead of going right up to that tar road, you would again, quite close after Witboi's Vlei, where you can turn basically northwest onto the C29. And that would lead you back to Marienthal, but instead of going there, you might then want to stay at the Lapa Lange Game Lodge. And this is like something out of this world, I mean, or like they sometimes say, out of Africa. This is a magic place to go and stay. And the Langes are very set on the fact that they want to offer you uniquely Namibian country-style cuisine, and can also serve a la carte meal when required. The owner is Piet de Lange. He's quite well known in the south, and he prefers to introduce visitors to the traditional campfire experience, serving potjiekos and Lapa barbecues, and this is quite a special treat for people who really love Namibian cooking experiences. And then obviously you've got, between all that Gemütlichkeit and whatever, and sundowners, you then obviously have the opportunity to take part in game drives and see what else is going on there. They cater for every taste and purse. They've got superior chalet, executive chalet, and luxury, as well as superior suites right down to camping sites. And as you can see, it is the animals actually come to the dam, which is part of the whole setup there. So it's really very nice. Yeah, so instead of bringing you just one or two destinations this week, I thought I'd basically show you that if you come from the Kalahari into Namibia via Matamata, you don't always have to go straight for the next tar road. You will remember that often Chloe joined me here and showed us already that there are so many different routes you can take. And those back roads are often more interesting than your standard tar road, which basically just takes you from one town to the next in the fastest possible manner. This way you've got different sort of things that you can see and enjoy. So I hope this raised a few ideas that when next time you come to Namibia, go through Klagadi, or alternatively, as you leave Namibia, take those backwaters and go towards Klagadi, so that you have one last little outing before you go back home in South Africa, or whatever, fly home if you come from overseas. Anyway, hope this was informative. Next week we'll bring you new destination ideas, but up next we've got To the Point. Welcome back. As you can see, I'm not alone in the studio anymore. With me is Carsten Möhle. Carsten Möhle is of Bwana Tuke Tuke. It's one of the tour operators. Actually, he's not only a tour operator, he's an all-out organizer for any event that you would like as relates to tourism. Welcome in the studio, Carsten.
Thank you, Frank.
The idea why I called him in is he's got a wealth of experience in tourism, and like I said, anything that's out of the ordinary, that is really you. But tell us a bit more how it started for you in Namibia.
Yes, so I'm coming from northern part of Germany and had no relations to Namibia or Southern Africa, but I was always interested in the South and in survival, of course, having been a soldier. And so the experts of survival are the Bushmen or the San in Botswana and in Namibia. So already on an early stage in my life, with the first earned money, I traveled to Namibia, Botswana, to find these Bushmen and walk a little bit around with them and to get around with their knowledge and what do they know, how do they survive in deserts. That I could use militarily as well. But you see, if you are somewhere here in Namibia or in Southern Africa, your full soul is occupied by Africa. So you're always thinking of things, how do I get back? What is the way for me? And there was a good opportunity with the Blue Helmet mission, UNTAC, when Namibia became Namibia and independent. And so that was a very, very interesting experience. I was allowed to join the Finnish military for 6 months during the election and until right after independence. And so I had my Namibian experiences. And from then on, I started working on transfer myself from overseas to Namibia as a tour operator. And since 1996, I'm in that schedule, being 3 to 4 months overseas for travel fairs, marketing, research, contacts to potential clients. And I have the privilege, the opportunity to stay about 8 months a year here in Namibia and surroundings. So that's
how you came to be. And then today you do anything between little town tours in Windhoek right up to Botswana, anything that the person wants.
We are a genuine
one-stop shop.
Yeah, one-stop shop, service provider, of course.
Yeah.
So that means we arrange weddings, marriages. We support film teams on the logistical base, like, for example, some minor parts of Mad Max.
Okay.
But about 20 other movies as well. We make a little bit of VIP trips, which we are doing in some parts. You see, we established the Living Culture Foundation of Namibia, so we were training Bushmen to become Bushmen again, and these kind of things.
Back to your roots.
Exactly, and you see all kind of these stuff, archaeological expeditions, digging out of an old mammoth in the northern parts of Etosha for film teams and for scientists. And the reason why we can offer these services is because I'm in the country quite a long time. I'm a fossil. See, it's the beard. So I'm 24 years now in the tour operator business, and my first contacts longs back until 1985. And that means I have all kinds of contacts and all kinds of helpful people who are sharing their contacts with me. So if I need something strange for a film team on the set, I can organize it within a very, very short time. And the good thing is these film companies, they are paying for that. So they're paying for my mobile with the contacts which are in there and things which we can organize. So all kind of these things. It goes Africa crossings. So we are not limited on Namibia, but mainly Namibia because we are registered here, and in other countries like Botswana, we can make only legal stuff like self-driving trips.
And talking of self-driving, by the way, we have every intention of having Carsten here more regularly because he's got a wealth of information that he can share. But he, amongst others, is also and was involved for some time in Tanzania. So let's have a quick look at this video that he brought along for us.
Yeah, that's in the middle of nowhere, 700 kilometers away from any mechanical workshop. And for the film team, we said, oh, we are driving that hole and then we are driving out. They couldn't believe what it is our plan, because who should help us if something happens? They say, no, we know what we are doing, so we are doing it now. And so we did it. And of course, then we are building bridges, not only with our Living Culture Foundation, but generally speaking, of course. So I think Kazagulam Bridge, which will be opened right now, it looks similar.
Yeah.
You see the weight is on the back of that Unimog, all the camping stuff. Oh, but it works. Working, of course.
Yeah, and so clearly you are also giving training to those who would like as self-drivers and who want to have a few hints and so on.
Yes, exactly. You see, like offering trips into Sperrgebiet area for deserts, but a lot of things of survival and long-term trips, walking with Bushmen or sun, because that gives an income in the periphery, which is quite important as well.
Yeah, because they're obviously dependent on that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But you also were involved, and that's the next video, in Tanzania, where you are basically reviving a different route. Let's see that one.
Yeah, one of my hobbies is, of course, to reconnoiter and make research for historical trips. And that, for example, is the old Stevenson Road connecting Nyasaland or Malawi nowadays and the Lake Tanganyika. And that road was not used for nearly 70 years now because there was another port opened, Mupulungu. And so every year or every time when we are there for one of our Africa crossings, we are opening together with the community about 1 kilometer of that road. And the aim is in 10 to 15 years that the whole stretch from the town of Mbala up to Kuituta Bay, which is the historical point for that route, is then can be opened. We are producing a map for that. We are putting that into guidebooks, tour guidebooks. You see, we found poles from heliographic stations along that line already. So it's a little bit research, it's a little bit archaeology, and of course a little bit of adventure tourism as well.
Yeah, well, and there you saw it, and that's the reason why I said we can't put it all in one show. I hope this was of interest to you. We thank Carsten for quickly coming in. This was an ad hoc arrangement which we did yesterday afternoon. So thank you for coming in, Carsten, and we will definitely invite him back in because he's got lots more to share with us. So until then, thank you and hope to see you back. Yeah, that was the final interview that we brought to you, Carsten Möller. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you next week, same time, same place, and bring you more news about tourism in Namibia on this Tourismus show. Anyway, have a nice Saturday and hope to see you next week. Bye.
If you're feeling how I'm feeling and you know I won't stop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. If I got it and you want it and you'll never let it drop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. I will ride for you, baby, even die for you. When I'm loving you, but my heart don't stop.